You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Per multiple reports, Syracuse basketball landed Ibrahim Souare, a 6'9", 215-pound forward or center from Georgia Tech. Suare was a freshman last year with the Yellow Jackets. He played in 30 games, started in 14 of them. He's got 3 years of eligibility left, which is pretty cool. And in those 30 games, he averaged 3 points a game, 4 rebounds, shot 60% from the field, but just 31% from the free throw line. Not good, shooting 31%. And Suare is Syracuse's fourth transfer portal addition. Like I mentioned, he joins Naithan George from Georgia Tech, of course, Nate Kingz from Oregon State, and William Kyle, the center from UCLA. Let's talk about what Suare can do and then what he can't do. All right. Good news is he checks off one of the two boxes that we talked about a couple of weeks ago here on this podcast when we go through all of Syracuse basketball's interested players and who they should go after. Can you shoot? Can you defend? Well, in the case of Ibrahim Souare, he's actually a pretty solid defender, and that should help out Syracuse basketball because, well, they need more defense on the roster. Suare was actually Georgia Tech's second most impactful defender on the floor last season, I believe only behind Bai Dongo, who was one of the best defensive players in the ACC a year ago. And it's demonstrated by the fact that Georgia Tech's team defensive efficiency per 100 possessions was 95.8, again, second best on the team with Ibrahim Souare on the floor. And fun fact, if Ibrahim Souare had a 95.8 over at Syracuse, that would have been the best adjusted team efficiency on the team for the Orange. Elijah Chapamore actually led in that category at 98.4. Yeah, pause for laughter that Elijah Chapamore was Syracuse's highest rated defender last year because it actually just goes to show you how bad Syracuse's defense really was. Individual defensive grade for Ibrahim Souare over on Evan Maya was a 0.93. For those that don't understand Evan Maya's ratings, basically, if you have 9 average Division I players on the floor and Ibrahim Souare is the 10th player, the team with Ibrahim Souare, so that group of 5, would be about a point better defensively than the other team per 100 possessions. It's a great way to measure a player's impact on a team, and in this case, on defense. Again, pause for laughter that Elijah Chapamore actually led Syracuse in that category a year ago as well with a 0.96. So Syracuse, they needed defense, and they might have gotten some defensive depth in Ibrahim Souare. But there's also something that he can't really do, something that he doesn't really grade really high in, and that's offense. Offense is not very good. In fact, Ibrahim Souare was the worst offensive player in the ACC a year ago, minimum 500 possessions. I am not making it up. The analytics tell you he was dead last. 153 of 153 in the ACC, again, per 500 possessions. He had an Evan Maya offensive rating of negative 2.16. Again, what does that mean? Here's what it means. If you have 9 average Division I players on the floor and the 10th player is Ibrahim Souare, the group of 5 that includes Ibrahim Souare versus the other group of 5 would be about 2 points worse offensively per 100 possessions. So Ibrahim Souare, pretty decent defender, but absolutely awful on offense, a year ago. I would classify this as a minor depth portal addition. I honestly look at Ibrahim Souare as the replacement to what Syracuse lost in the portal in Peter Mastorovich. Ibrahim Souare is someone who can play the 4, also someone who can play the 5 in certain situations as well. Since he is a freshman, you do hope that Souare can develop into a better player because he's got a long runway to get better. So that's the silver lining there. But I would honestly classify this pretty similar to the William Kyle edition, which is best case, it could be a diamond in the rough edition. That could happen, right? It happens in the portal where someone gets a team gets an underrated, or not even underrated, they get an under the radar guy that just comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden blossoms into a great player. That can happen, and it would be great if it happened to Syracuse next year. But I do not have high expectations for Ibrahim Souare.